What if I told you that everything you have been led to believe about your own intelligence is a lie designed to keep you small and predictable? For decades, we have been fed this comfortable but toxic narrative that your IQ is a fixed number written in your genetic code the moment you were born. We are taught to think of intelligence like our height or the color of our eyes. You get what you get, and you just have to learn to live within those boundaries. But today, I am going to show you why that concept is not only outdated, but scientifically impossible. If your intelligence was truly a static number, then how do we explain Albert Einstein, who was considered slow and struggled to speak clearly as a child? How do we explain Charles Darwin, who was labeled an average student with a mind that wandered, or Thomas Edison, who was literally kicked out of school because his teachers thought he was unteachable? These people did not just get lucky with their DNA. They did not have a secret intellectual superpower that you lack. They built a system. They trained their minds using a specific set of habits that literally reshaped the physical structure of their brains. Right now, you are likely neglecting the very mechanisms that allowed these geniuses to reshape the entire world. In the next few minutes, you are going to discover something that genuinely changed the way I look at my own potential. And frankly, it is a bit unsettling when you realize how much cognitive power we waste every single day. We are going to look at the raw data that proves your brain is not a static cup that is already full, but a living, breathing network of connections that can be expanded at any age, whether you are 18, 25, or even 50. I am going to reveal the 6 secret habits that the smartest people in history used long before we had modern neuroscience to explain the why behind the how. You will learn why your most frustrating moments of struggle are actually the primary mechanism that builds a high IQ, and how you can trigger your brain's default mode network to solve problems that seem impossible right now. This is the end of the genetic excuse and the beginning of your cognitive upgrade. You are about to see that intelligence is not a gift you are born with, but a skill you cultivate. You are going to learn how to move from being a passive consumer of information to an active architect of your own mind. We are going to explore why deep thinking without input is the ultimate power move in a world full of distractions, and how to build a mental framework that makes you appear brilliant to everyone around you. By the end of this journey, you will have the exact blueprint used by the greatest minds to transcend their perceived limits. This is not about hacks or shortcuts. This is about the fundamental habits of the genius mind. Let us start. The reason most people stay stuck in a loop of mediocrity is not because they are incapable, but because they are addicted to input. We live in an era where we believe that more information equals more intelligence. We listen to podcasts at double speed. We scroll through endless educational threads. We watch video after video. But there is a fundamental flaw in this behavior that neuroscience is finally starting to expose. Your brain does not actually grow when you are consuming information. It grows when you are forced to process it without help. This leads us to the first and perhaps most challenging habit of the genius mind, which is deep thinking without input. Think about how Albert Einstein came up with the theory of relativity. He did not have a supercomputer or a library of digital archives at his fingertips. He famously performed what he called thought experiments. He would walk alone for hours on end with no books, no notes, and certainly no distractions. He would simply ask a question like, what happens if I chase a beam of light? Or what happens if gravity bends space? And then he would let his mind dwell on that single problem. Most of us cannot go 5 minutes without checking our phones because we have become terrified of silence. But in that silence is where your brain's default mode network comes alive. This is not just a poetic concept. It is a biological system responsible for abstract thinking, long-term reasoning, and creativity. When you stop feeding your brain new data, it is forced to reorganize the data it already has. It starts making connections that you would never see if you were busy listening to a podcast. I used to think that being productive meant always learning something new, but I realized that the truly brilliant breakthroughs only came when I put the books away and just sat with my own thoughts. The discomfort you feel when you are bored is actually the sound of your intelligence growing. It is the friction of your neural pathways trying to find a new route. If you want to train like a genius, you must schedule time for daily thinking walks. No music, no phone, just you and a question. It will feel painful at first. Your brain will scream for a hit of dopamine from your screen. But if you push past that initial resistance, you will find insights that no book could ever give you. But that is only the beginning, because once you start thinking for yourself, you will inevitably hit a wall. And what you do in that moment of frustration determines whether your IQ stays fixed or begins to climb. This brings us to the second habit, which psychologists call productive struggle. Most of us have been conditioned to view struggle as a sign of failure. If we do not understand a concept immediately, we assume we are not smart enough and we rush to find the answer. We ask a colleague or we search for the solution online within seconds. By doing this, you are essentially telling your brain that it does not need to work. You are bypassing the very mechanism that builds intelligence. Highly intelligent people do the exact opposite. They deliberately delay help. Take Benjamin Franklin, for example. He was not born a master of prose. He trained himself by reading complex essays, putting them away, and then trying to rewrite them from memory. When he failed to remember a specific argument or a beautiful turn of phrase, he did not check the original immediately. He would struggle. Modern brain imaging shows that struggle activates deeper neural pathways than passive explanation ever does. This is why instant solutions feel productive but vanish from memory. Smart habit before asking for help. Write your best answer, even if it's wrong. Struggle is not a sign of low intelligence, it's the mechanism that builds it. Habit 3. Writing to think, not to record. Most people write to store information, smart people write to clarify thinking. Leonardo da Vinci didn't write essays, he wrote questions, diagrams, fragments, contradictions. His notebooks weren't organized, they were alive. Writing forces your brain to slow down, detect gaps, make vague ideas precise. Research from Princeton and UCLA shows writing by hand improves conceptual understanding far more than typing or reading, because writing is thinking made visible. Smart habit, a daily thinking journal. Not what did I do today, but what do I actually understand? What confused me? What idea feels unfinished? Habit 4. Building mental models. High IQ individuals don't just know facts, they understand systems. Charlie Munger called this a latticework of mental models. Physics teaches cause and effect biology, teaches adaptation psychology, teaches bias economics, teaches incentives. When your brain learns across domains, it becomes flexible. This is called transfer intelligence, the ability to apply ideas in new contexts. That's why polymaths dominated history: Aristotle, Leonardo da Vinci. Goethe modern research confirms cross-domain learners show higher fluid intelligence. Smart habit, every week, learn one concept outside your field. Not deeply conceptually, your brain becomes smarter when ideas start connecting. Habit 5. Deliberate memory training. Memory isn't separate from intelligence, it's foundational. Nikola Tesla could visualize entire machines, rotate them mentally, and test them in his mind. Ancient scholars trained memory deliberately because they understood a sharper memory creates faster reasoning. Techniques like active recall, spaced repetition, visualization don't just store information, they reorganize neural networks. MRI studies show memory-trained individuals develop denser and more efficient brain connections. Smart habit recall, before review, explain ideas without notes. Habit 6. Protecting cognitive energy. Smart people don't think all day, they think when their brain is strongest. Charles Darwin worked only 4 to 5 focused hours per day. The rest was walking, resting, reflecting. Chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and constant stimulation damage executive function. Your brain doesn't upgrade during hustle, it upgrades during recovery. Sleep deeply, move daily, get sunlight, allow boredom. Boredom is not weakness, it's cognitive recovery. Intelligence is not a static number, but a dynamic system. But there is one final piece of the puzzle. A mindset shift that most people miss, which can either lock you in your current state or set you free. Intelligence is not a badge of honor you wear or a score you brag about to feel superior. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism. While everyone else is busy trying to fill their cup with more information, the Type 3 thinker is busy expanding the size of the cup itself. Are you a collector of information or an architect of thought? Do you spend your hours consuming the insights of others or generating your own? The version of you that exists a year from now depends entirely on whether you treat your intelligence as a fixed inheritance or a growing garden. Most people will finish this video and go right back to their old habits. They will remain in the 99% who believe their potential is capped. In my next video, I am going to reveal a specific psychological secret that 99% of the population has no idea exists. It is time to start building the mind you were always meant to have. I will see you in the next one.